There are mirrors that show your face, but some remember what you've forgotten. The story begins in 1984 at an abandoned museum on the outskirts of Warsaw, Poland. 3 archaeology students snuck into the building on a cold March night, searching for artifacts rumored to have been left behind when the institution was shut down for unspecified reasons. In the dust-choked basement, surrounded by broken statues and rusted gates, they discovered something strange. A mirror. No frame, no silver backing, just a pane of glass that refused to shine. When their flashlight hit it, the lighting bounced back. It seemed swallowed. The first to look into it was Sophia. She didn't see herself. She didn't see the flashlight. She didn't even see the basement. She saw a hallway, decayed, winter white lights streaming through broken windows, a toppled grandfather clock. Far in the distance, a figure sitting at a desk facing away. She couldn't look away, and then she vanished. No sound, no trace. The 2 others, Jacob and Marta, panicked and dropped the mirror, but it didn't shatter. They fled the basement and called the police. But when they returned, there was no basement, no mirror, and no records of a student named Sophia. Yet in Marta's journal, discovered years later in a forgotten archive box, one final entry had been scrawled. Sophia was there. I remember her, I swear. But since that night, even my own face has started to blur in reflections. And when I blink, I hear the pendulum ticking again. In 1997, a Polish folklore researcher named Dr. Emilina Nowak stumbled across a strange police report buried in the archives of Krakow. A case involving a girl who disappeared into a mirror. Most of the documentation had been redacted or misfiled, but one handwritten margin note caught her eye. For a disappearance in a place that doesn't exist anymore. Curious, Emilina began tracing rumors of mirrors that don't reflect. A theme that popped up in obscure 18th century Slavic superstitions and old Catholic warnings about the eye that sees backwards. She followed whispers across Europe. A shuttered orphanage in Hungary where children began to forget each other, as names after staring too long at the classroom mirror. A church in Bavaria where the confessional's mirror turned black during every eclipse. A hotel room in Prague where a guest left behind only a message scrawled on the wall. I see him now. He is me, waiting. Emilina's notes became increasingly fragmented. She wrote of dreams where she stood in front of a mirror, saw a different version of herself older, hands bloody, whispering her own name as if trying to remember it. It arrived, without sender, wrapped in wax paper inside her university mailbox. Inside a VHS tape marked 1979 M7C, and a photograph of the same mirror the students had allegedly found in Warsaw, except now it was mounted in a frame of bone white wood, etched with names that had been scratched out, letter by letter. The tape played exactly 2 minutes and 41 seconds. It showed grainy footage of a man, unshaven, frantic, whispering in German. Behind him was the mirror. His reflection did not move. At the 2:30 mark, he stopped speaking. His reflection smiled, and both vanished from the frame. No static. No glitch. Just ... gone. Emilina's last note in a journal now housed at the National Library of Poland. I think the mirror is not a window but a lock. The corridor, still filling with names we forgot how to say. The mirror reappeared again in 2015. Not in Warsaw, not in Europe, but in a quiet estate sale in Rutland, Vermont. A local family was clearing out the house of a reclusive great-uncle, who had died alone, surrounded by antique clocks and unlabeled tapes. Among the items was an odd-looking pane of glass that had no frame, no listing, and wasn't included on the inventory manifest. They gave it to the youngest in the family, 14-year-old Katarzyna. As a joke, took it to his room, leaned it against the wall, and forgot about it. Until 3 nights later, Connor posted a late-night selfie on his phone, trying out a new filter. But behind him in the mirror, there were 3 people. 2 of them had no faces. The third wore his shirt, zigzag shirt. It wasn't him. He deleted the photo, but the mirror remained. The next morning, his parents found Connor in the basement, asleep on the floor, it carved into the concrete, with a spoon. I remembered her. She did not remember me. Now I am the echo. Connor had no memory of writing those words, no memory of taking the photo. But the photo kept reappearing on his phone, in his school email, even printed out and stuffed into his locker. The mirror was removed, donated to a private collector of haunted curiosities, but the house remained different. Visitors began to report odd things, reflections that blinked out of sync, a ticking sound under the stairs. Guests forgetting why they had entered the room and remembering only after looking into a darkened screen. And then there was Grace, Carter's younger cousin, who visited months later. She stared at the empty wall where the mirror used to be and whispered, "Why is the woman behind me crying?" Like there was no one else in the room. But a few nights later, Grace's mother found a message written inside her bathroom mirror, formed in condensation from an unexplainable heat. "You are next to be remembered." The collector who acquired the mirror was known only by his alias, the archivist. He ran a private museum outside of Marseille, fans invitation only, no photographs allowed. The collection was rumored to house crushed heirlooms, recovered dreams, even whispers caught on wax cylinders. The mirror, which he labeled Speculum no Lewis, the mirror of no one, was kept in a vault room lined with black velvet. No direct lights were allowed, only candlelight. But one night, during the vault's routine inventory, something changed. The archivist's assistant, Lucy, reported that the mirror had begun to reflect sound. When she spoke near it, her voice echoed, but not as an audio repeat, as a word-forward transcript written backward on the mirror surface. Days later, more appeared. Old diary entries, funeral speeches, forgotten lullabies. All of them reflected back in reverse. As if the mirror wasn't a surface, but a memory collector, an archive for grief, of things people wanted to forget, or never said aloud. And then it began asking. One night, Lucy returned to the room and found 5 words etched in condensation. "Who taught you your name?" she ran. When she came back, the mirror was gone, but not stolen. The room still had 4 walls, no broken locks, no alarms tripped, only a ripple in the dust. As if the mirror had turned and stepped through itself. 3 months later, strange events began appearing online. Unlisted live streams titled spec_no, showing people asleep, their reflections blinking. Audio files named backwards_wav photo to reverse laughter. One final incident was posted to a forgotten image board by an anonymous user. My sister stood still for 45 minutes in front of my TV. It was off. She kept whispering. I finally see my other face. She was waiting for me. I turned the TV on. It showed me a place I've never seen. My sister wasn't in the room anymore. Now, in obscure corners of the web, a theory has emerged. The mirror never reflects you. It waits for a moment when you stop recognizing yourself. When you question your memories, when you forget what made you you, only then does it open. Not to a new world, but to a version of this one, where you never existed, but your reflection still remembers. And if that reflection decides it's time to come back, it only needs one thing: you remembering.